Can you imagine any other vocalist having the balls that she has to take that stage on that day? I think when this song came out on YouTube, I put a comment under the video saying, how is this not the lead single? This is Linkin Park back as Linkin Park, despite the fact that they've lost their singer, who's one of the most iconic singers of this century. Welcome back. From Zero by Linkin Park. Today I want to specifically talk about the deluxe version of From Zero for a couple of reasons. The original album was released on the 15th of November 2024, and the deluxe version was released on May 16th, 2025. Deluxe edition includes a second CD which has a few bonus tracks, which are quite important as we get into this review, and a few live versions. The original album was 31 minutes and 54 seconds, and with the 3 extra songs it takes us up to 41 minutes. For me, that's more of a complete package as an album, I think. I've no problem with a half-an-hour album, but because it was such a monumental return to form, I felt like half an hour was nowhere near enough, whereas 41 minutes is just right, as far as I'm concerned. The track list that I'm now used to, because of how my phone organizes this deluxe version, you can see here. In my humble opinion, let me try and explain this properly. The first song, The Emptiness Machine, when that came out, that was a perfect song to release as the first example with Emily. Because, you know, Mike takes the first verse, then Emily comes in about a minute in, and it's like, oh wow, okay, so this is the new singer, right? That's cool. But I think that Up From The Bottom works as a better first song if you've already heard the standard version. I don't know if this makes sense to anyone else but me, but this is how I see it. We'll get into it, obviously, in detail, but the song Up From The Bottom seems like a much more confident first song on the album, but I don't think you could have had that be the first song on the standard version of the album. Once you've already heard the standard album, having the deluxe version with these songs added to it makes it better. I really hope I'm making sense. Some of you watching are probably thinking this is my first album deep dive in a long time, which is true. It's been months since I did one, and I've taken a little break and wanted to come back with a relatively big album. And if you check the date, today is its anniversary. I have a lot of things to say about this album. I'll address the elephant in the room immediately. Emily Armstrong, I think, was the perfect new member to take Chester's place. Bearing in mind there is no single person on earth that could replace Chester, because he's Chester. He's, you know, one of a kind. And so replacing him, I'm using the word replacing him, but I don't really feel like that's what they've done. They've just moved on without him. I think that's a better way to frame it. Replacing him with another singer who sounds exactly like him, number one, very difficult. Number two, quite distasteful. And replacing him with a male singer who doesn't sound anything like him would also not be the best idea, because I think there'd be too much comparison to another male singer. But bringing in a female singer, pretty smart, because then that comparison isn't there so much. I know her inclusion in the band has been quite divisive, and some people have just dismissed it, but I believe largely she has been accepted now. I want to be clear, I was on board straight away. I was there when the countdown finished, the infamous countdown. I watched the full show. It came on at like 7 in the morning, which is around the time I wake up. So I watched the whole thing, and it was goosebumps the whole time. I was so confused, I didn't know what was going on. For those of you who dismiss Emily as a good stand-in for Chester moving forward, can you imagine any other vocalist having the balls that she has to take that stage on that day and to put herself in Chester's shoes? Don't discredit this woman for the balls that she has more than most artists in the world. Please bear that in mind. So that's my little preamble of what I think about the new form of Linkin Park. I'm fine with it. It's a case of, if you don't like it, just don't listen to it. If you are keen for Linkin Park as people, as artists, as human beings, to continue doing what they love doing, then this is going to be the only form it takes. So you can either take it or leave it, and I very much took it. And now, without further ado, let's get into the review. So I'm going to skip over the intro because it's a big nothing burger, basically. I don't really understand why it's there. And again, with the Deluxe Edition track listing, Up From The Bottom.
You keep me waiting down here, so far below.
I know I'm speaking from a relatively non-standard perspective, but having the sound of this intro to this song as being the first thing you hear on the new Linkin Park album, I think works really well. There's no fluff. There's the the keys and the Johan's stuff going on right at the beginning. I think it's perfect. And like I said, a little more confident in terms of songwriting than the Emptiness Machine. Not that the Emptiness Machine wasn't a good first choice, as I've already stated. I just think the energy and the structure of this song is much more like, this is the new thing, like brute force, basically.
Feels like a knife pushed deep inside a socket.
Something that I do like about Emily's performance in these songs, it's the case with Up From The Bottom and a lot of these other songs, but not all of them. I can imagine Chester singing these songs. It's a similar notation that he would use and a similar timbre. Not the same, not a replacement, and it's a hard thing to compare to, but my point is I can picture Chester performing these songs. And if you go on YouTube, I did this not long after the album came out, people have had, like a week after the album came out, had already used AI to replace Emily with Chester. Kind of weird, but also kind of interesting.
Everybody out there, devil is coming, poison on his lips and his words mean nothing.
So the last third of the song, it goes into this progression. I mean, it's where Mike takes over in this song. It goes a little bit more electronic and a little more atmospheric. It kind of shows, in a way, everything that this album's going to do all in one song. It's like, yes, we're rocking, we're doing the new metal thing again, thankfully, but there's also going to be a lot of electronic stuff on here, which you would expect from Linkin Park. So this song, I think, works perfectly to help you rest assured that Linkin Park is very much back.
Staring up from the bottom, up from the bottom. I try to.
Yeah, I love the chorus in this song. I don't know if there's actually a bad chorus on this whole album. Nick Nocturnal, when it came out and he reacted to it, said that it was a little bit wordy. I think that's how he phrased it. It felt a little bit clunky on first listen, I will be honest, but after having listened to it, I don't know how many times, I think it's really good. Like I say, I think it's a very good first track on the album, from my perspective anyway. I think it's fantastic. Let's move on to The Emptiness Machine.
Your blades are sharpened with precision. Let you cut me open just to watch me bleed.
So like I said, this was the perfect example off this album to be a first insight into what is going to be on the album. Having Mike doing his sung verses at the beginning, and then the song kicking in without vocals. It's really like easing you into this new phase of Linkin Park, I think. And then when Emily does come in, it's goosebumps galore.
Going around like a revolver.
The first time I saw the video, I almost had tears in my eyes because I was, there'd been a lot of anticipation about new Linkin Park, new vocalists, new what's this going to sound like, what's going on? And a couple of verses into Emily's part, I was like, okay, I think everything's going to be all right.
Already pulling me in, already under my skin.
And Emily's wonderful delivery in the chorus it's flawless.
Let you cut me open just to watch me bleed.
It still gives me chills. Just talking about it gives me chills. I was sure, like, okay, Linkin Park's back and doing what they should be doing. It took a little while for me to appreciate just how good this song is. I didn't dislike it at all, but the more I listened to it, the more it got stuck in my head. I was amazed.
Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine.
just continuously amazed. Like, my appreciation for the song grew more and more and more. And I must have watched the music video like 50 times when it came out. I've heard criticism about this song where it's a little bit generic, and I can sort of see that. Having said that, the same could be said for quite a lot of Linkin Park's music. But does it make it bad? No. It's incredibly well-written music, generic or not. I got nothing bad to say about this song, and just a little bit of a spoiler, that may well be the case going forward throughout the album. Unshatter.
Maybe I made it more complicated than it had to be.
So at this point in the album, after Up From The Bottom and Emptiness Machine, which are quite similar, we start off with a much more like punk-edged song, kind of a bit more stripped back, at least in the beginning. The three songs added to the beginning of this album, I think, break up the beginning of the album a little bit, in a way that, you know, there's songs that I think come in too soon in the track list, which we'll get to. And adding these three at the beginning, I think, really helps it fill out the track list, which for me was kind of lacking on the original release, to be honest. Unshatter, it reminds me that, you know, Linkin Park is fundamentally a rock band, and now they're leaning more into that rock thing. And then 2 minutes in, which would be 8 minutes into the album, the first big scream. From Emily, which is very, very satisfying. When this song released, this is the thing with Linkin Park, and this is the same throughout their entire career for me personally. The first time I'm exposed to it, I'm like, yeah, it's not bad, but it's not gripping me that much. And then over time, it really, really, really does more than a lot of other bands. And this song is another example of that. First time I heard it, I'm like, it's okay. It's not, I don't really feel like it's adding anything to the album, and now I feel completely the opposite. Like, this is essential. And why they didn't just release this as the album, I won't ever know. Cut the Bridge. So Cut the Bridge on the original version I thought came in a little too soon. The first few listens I'm like, this doesn't feel like a track 2 song. This feels like a middle of the album kind of song. And with these new extra songs, it does push it back to the middle of the album a little bit. So by this time, Cut the Bridge works totally.
Cut the bridge we run.
So when the album first came out and I first listened to it 3 or 4 times, this was one of my least favourite songs. Essentially because Johan doesn't really have much to do in this song, and whenever in Linkin Park's music he's absent, I like it less. He adds that je ne sais quoi of Linkin Park sound that if he was completely absent from the band, I don't think they would have become as big as they are. And so Cut the Bridge, it didn't really grip me. And like I said, I felt like it was a little too soon in the album on the standard version. In this way, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm here for this now. Like, the album's already warmed me up to this more kind of 4 to the floor, stomping Linkin Park sound. This song, I think, is the most like Minutes to Midnight, and that's one of my least favourite Linkin Park albums. While I do like this whole album, Cut the Bridge is going to be one of my least favourite songs. Not to say that I dislike it, though. Let You Fade.
Just to have it all falling out of our hands.
Okay, I have a lot to say about this song. When this one was released, I was genuinely blown away by this song. And I couldn't believe that they didn't include it on the standard version. We had to wait for this. This is something that Linkin Park do, by the way, that I've experienced. They just leave off some of the best songs they ever make. It's very frustrating as a fan. But this song, in a way, is one of the most nu metal songs, I think. It sort of reminds me of Deftones a little bit. And it's one of the more dramatic songs on the album. Not to say emo, per se, but it's very somber. And clearly very, it's sad more than it's angry, I think.
No matter where I went,
and reflective and, you know, sentimental and whatever. I really like this song. And in this chorus, it's one of the first times I think that we've really heard Emily and Mike harmonizing significantly, and they blend together really well. Well, this song is probably one of the more simple songs on the album structurally, and you know, the guitar riff is pretty basic. It's very, very well refined. This seems like a song where they weren't overthinking ideas, and maybe they weren't, and maybe that's why they didn't include it on the main thing, because they were like, well, we didn't really put much effort into this song, so let's take it off. And even if that's the case, I don't care, because I think this is possibly my favorite song on the album. It's very emotional. It's very, I mean, it's obvious what it's about, right? It's about Chester. I think when this song came out on YouTube, I put a comment under the video saying, how is this not the lead single? I love the rhythm in this song. The slightly stumbling rhythm. It's not like Cut the Bridge is very like duv 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 basically the whole way through the song, whereas this, it's got a bit of stop and start in the rhythm. I really like that. The riff, super simple but perfect. Really nice use of keyboards as well. I think this is one of their best songs, and we'll get into it a little bit further down the line, but I think this might be my favorite song on the Deluxe version of the album.
I'll remember you.
Heavy is the Crown.
Pouring in, you laid on the floor again. One knock at the door and then
this is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd, fire in the sunrise.
This song could be perceived as being a cynical fan service cash grab thing, which it's possible, but I don't care. I love this song, and I think this is probably a fan favorite, because this, I think, is the most similar to Meteora. I'd say it's the most similar to Faint as well, which is one of their most popular songs. And I think since Meteora, everyone's just been wanting them to, not even to return to that sound, but just to never abandon that sound in the first place, myself included. I do like the rest of their music, but, you know, things could have gone differently. And this was the moment where it's like, okay, Linkin Park is well and truly back doing their sound that they started in 2000?
turn to run, now look what it's become. Outnumbered 10 to 1.
I think this is an obvious choice as a favorite song. It's doing exactly what I, and maybe you, have been craving from Linkin Park since the early 2000s. And they're actually doing it again. And I really appreciate it.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd.
And of course, we cannot gloss over the enormous scream from Emily towards the end of the song. Not quite comparable as the infamous Chester scream.
This is what you asked for.
But not far off, I've got to say. I'm wondering if in the lyrics of the song, she's like, this is what you asked for. Is that addressing what I just said? Like, we've all been wanting this sound since the early days, and so she's like, well, here you go. That's what I mean. Is it like a meta, like, cynical, like, we're just doing this to be popular with our fans. I mean, that's what bands should do, really. If you want to experiment and do your own thing, fine. But you've got to give fans something that they want. And I feel like for a long time Linkin Park weren't doing that with one album in particular. And with these extra songs, this is bang in the middle of the album as well. I love this song. Over Each Other.
This is the letter that I didn't write. I'm trying to find my patience. There's nothing underneath. It's all a waste of time.
Okay, for a little bit of extra context, I listened to this album over and over and over again when it first came out, and I haven't done for a while. And about a week ago, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't listened to From Zero for a little bit. And then I listened to it, this version with the extra songs, and I'm like, I think I like this now more than when it first came out. And I already loved it when it came out.
All we are is talking over each other.
But this was a song that I wasn't a big fan of. It was a bit of a skipper, to be honest. However,
Under your breath, you're saying that I was wrong.
due to recent relationships in my life, let's say, this song is incredibly relatable for me now, and is actually, because of that, one of my favourite songs on the album.
'Cause you won't let me breathe, and I'm not ever right.
I sent it to a friend of mine, and she knows my situation. I'm not going to go into it, but she knows it. And she said, wow, these lyrics are like you wrote them. And I was like, yeah, word for word.
All we are is talking over each other.
But so part of the reason why I didn't vibe with this song is because, again, with the original version, it felt like this song came way too soon in the album. I felt like this was like, should have been right towards the end, I think, as we're, you know, easing down. And it sounded a little bit 80s ballad to me, like Dolly Parton or something. So it was a bit of a jarring change in everything else that was going on the album. But again, with these added songs at this point, I think it's nice. I think it fits. You know, it's good to have a bit of a break here.
There's nothing underneath. It's all a waste of time.
It's not my kind of song. It's really not. This is not the kind of music I typically listen to. Again, I think because I gave the album a bit of a break for a while, and then came back to it, and then certain life situations made it relatable, I really like this song now, and my opinion has very much changed in the last few months that I haven't listened to it. Really good. Casualty.
Let me out, set me free. I won't be your casualty.
I got too complacent, bleached in the eyes.
Casualty is, I want to say, one of the heaviest songs that Linkin Park have ever done. This is going back to Meteora for sure. And after Over Each Other, I think it comes in quite nicely. Over Each Other is pretty mellow for the most part, and moody and almost cinematic. And then Casualty comes in and just tears your face off. Which is a welcome return to form. And the first song ever, I think, with Mike screaming.
You drew the first blood, like playing God.
I don't know if it was necessary. You know, he's never done that much. If he has done it before, he's always been like the softer side. That was kind of how I saw him and Chester bouncing off each other. Like Chester did the whole angry boy stuff, and he did the more like down to earth flat stuff. They, you know, yin-yanged each other quite well. With this, they're both screaming, and I'm like, whoa, calm down.
But I'm not running,
'Cause something's coming.
it's only a matter of time.
So it's interesting, coincidentally, that I happen to be wearing an Exploited t-shirt, because this song is like the most hardcore punk song, certainly on the album, and probably one of the most hardcore punk songs they've ever done.
Set me free. I know
Another great example of a song that I can really, in my head, I can hear Chester singing this. It's not a conscious thing, but if I just try to imagine what if Chester was in the place of Emily, I can hear it most of the time, and this song very, very much so. Overflow.
Just up for a riot, catching fire, fighting.
This was a song when I first heard the album that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I do. It's the most mellow song on the album. It's very atmospheric, very electronic. If you took the vocals out, this would make pretty cool movie or video game soundtrack music. But listening to the song on headphones, just walking around, going about my day, it makes me feel like a bit of a badass. It gives me Queen of the Damned vibes, which sort of makes sense. There's a loose connection there. Chester did perform on the soundtrack to that album, and I don't know if they used that as inspiration for this, but I hear Queen of the Damned in this song. This is the exact right place for the song on the album, with all of the other included songs. I know I keep saying that, but I need to make sure you're aware of the context that I'm talking about. By track 10, that's a good place to have a song of this style, where it's very, spacey and atmospheric and mellowed out a bit, because it's indicating that we're heading towards the end now.
Looking up, the sky is falling. I can hear the future.
And again, on the standard version, I felt like the song came in too early. It was letting us know that the album's ending, like, straight away, kind of.
From the white sky to a black hole.
Two-faced.
Hanging by a thread, trying to say I'm not, but I'm in it over my head.
Again, Two-Faced could be seen as like a cynical, One Step Closer ripoff. Do I care? What do you think? This song slaps in the same way that Heavy's the Crown is like objectively nodding back to Meteora. This song is equally objectively leaning back to Hybrid Theory. I love the riff, I love the simplicity, I love the unapologetic new metal is back thing.
Last time you told me it wasn't true and pointing every finger with
This song made me very happy the first time. The first time I heard the album, this was one where I didn't even get to the end of the album until I listened to this like 3 or 4 times, because this one really excited me.
And never realized that the one that did it was you. The truth's not rigid, the rules aren't fair.
Having listened to it so many times, I feel like the chorus is a little bit underdeveloped compared to what the rest of the song is doing.
Stop yelling at me!
The chorus kind of, not mellows out, but it flattens out in terms of energy. But everything around the chorus is like full on 100% banger, so I can't really complain about it. And in fact, having the chorus be a little bit more flat than the rest of the song it emphasizes the rest of the song and makes me appreciate it more, I guess. So I wouldn't change it, even though I've just criticized it. Stained.
I shouldn't have said it.
You're stained. You try to hide the mark, but it won't.
This is one of the songs that I have the most complicated feelings about. Maybe you do too. This song was I think, the only song on the album, after the first few listens, where I was kind of like, does this belong on a Linkin Park album?
Pretend you're spotless, but I don't wash away.
And then I remembered, oh yeah, One More Light is a thing.
Sweat in your hands while the time starts ticking. Sweat in your hands while the time starts ticking.
So of course this makes sense, really. I feel like the whole album is basically a summary of their entire discography, and so this song does kind of lean into the One More Light thing. There is no denying that this would be a massive radio hit. It's very contemporary. How well it will age is yet to be seen. But it's incredibly catchy. It's incredibly simple. It's not one of my favourites, but I do like it. I didn't at first. But again, like with a lot of Linkin Park's music throughout the last 25 years, if I don't like it at first, that doesn't necessarily mean I won't like it over time. There's just something about Linkin Park's music and my brain that we don't first meet on the same level, but eventually we harmonise. Just takes a bit of time to get there.
Cause you're you try to hide the mark, but it won't.
I'm surprised by how much I like it. Because again, this is really not my kind of music. I really like the electronicness of it, and Emily's voice is just really, really good, man. It does, on this song, feel a little bit, not sound incredibly dramatic, but lost their identity a little bit. I don't know, this is what I mean. I have such complicated feelings about this song. Maybe you do as well. Maybe you hate it, maybe you think it's trash, I don't know. But I didn't like it, I do like it now. Is it my favourite? No. Do I think it's a good song? Yes.
When you're hiding when no one else sees.
I'm gonna move on at this point. I gave you everything I had, aka IGYEIH. Again, another song that in recent times has become very relatable for me due to the lyrical content. And this song actually reminds me of the band Skunk and Nancy, UK band from the 90s, female-fronted band, sort of post-grunge. Emily's original band that she was pilfered from was sort of a post-grunge type band. So for them to make something like this, totally makes sense.
Forgotten doesn't mean that it's forgiven this time. I can do everything I have.
There's one line and one section of the song that is, it makes the song for me, which is the bit where she says,
I'm not the enemy, you make me out to be.
I'm not the enemy you make me out to be. That, in my life, it sums up so much about what I feel about particular relationships I have with a particular person. That is a nice section of the chorus. The chorus is very like epic, and then in that bit it kind of shifts a little bit, but not in a jarring kind of way. I think it's a really, really nice chorus. One of the best on the album, actually. On this song, we get to the only bit of the album that I would cut out, which is the end. Like a minute of her going, "From now on I don't need you," over and over and over and over and over and over again. Don't need that. I always skip to the next song, which is the last song, once the song gets to that point. I really don't like it. It seems unnecessary, and the song is one of the longer songs on the album, and that didn't need to be there. It doesn't really add anything to the song. It doesn't really connect with anything going on in the song beforehand. The riff is kind of unremarkable, and it just seems like they got carried away with that bit and then didn't know how to end it. But aside from that, wonderful song. So on to the last song now. Good Things Go.
Feels like it's rained in my head for 100 days. Tired of putting out fires and making up lies, checking my eyes for some kind of lie.
And I say I hate you when I don't.
This is a nice bookend to the album. For quite a while, I wasn't a massive fan of this song, again, because this is just how my brain receives Linkin Park, apparently. But someone I know said that this was her favourite song by far on the album because of the lyrical content in this that she found very relatable for certain reasons. And so this song will kind of always remind me of her.
You could
It seemed to me kind of unremarkable, not bad, but nothing to shout about, but because she appreciated it so much, it made me kind of reevaluate it and appreciate it from someone else's perspective. So it's good. It's not my favorite. I think it's strong. Like I say, as an end to the album, I think it's good.
It's not unfair, I'm asking for prayers, but nobody cares, going nowhere.
The only criticism about it that I would have is kind of similar to the last song, actually, is they couldn't decide how to end the song, so they just cut it off. On the original version, being such a short album, 30 minutes, 32 minutes, having that hard cut as the end of the album, I was kind of like, wait, is that it? That's how you're going to end it? That's weird. If they were going to extend any song on this album, do it with this one. Cut the minute off IGYEIH and add a little bit of a gradual end to this song, considering that this album is a very, very significant album in Linkin Park's discography. One of the most significant of their career.
Bad things take the place where good things go.
To just cut it off like that seemed like a strange choice. The chorus, like I said, while I don't find it relatable, I know someone that does. And so I'm like, okay, it clearly means something to you. So I'm going to appreciate it from that kind of perspective, you know? I never disliked it, I never loved it. It's a very mid-song for me, but considering how much this other person appreciates it, it makes me appreciate it more. I'm going to stop blabbering now. From Zero by Linkin Park. In summary, I'm assuming you can tell, I really like this album. I like it more now than when it came out. I think it will age quite well. I think some of the criticism of the album was that they weren't taking many risks, but why should they? I think this was a very, yes, safe album. Considering the history of Linkin Park over the last almost 10 years, I think playing it safe was the wise choice, and they were already taking a massive risk by getting Emily on board. So reinventing their sound with a new singer, I think that's asking a little too much, in my opinion. I wouldn't really want the album to be any different to how it is, to be honest. I think it's very varied. It never gets repetitive. Every song, the structure of the Deluxe edition, I think is perfect. And I wouldn't change a thing, except the ending of I Gave You Everything I Had. And that's just a minor nitpick on an otherwise flawless album. So, in terms of rating, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. I think this album is basically almost perfect. Really well produced, really colourful, really bright, really atmospheric. I mean, considering the album that came before and how well that was received, this is way better than it has any right to be. Like, just think of this versus One More Light. Come on. And I'm a little bit of a defender of One More Light, I will be honest, but this is Linkin Park back as Linkin Park, despite the fact that they've lost their singer, who's one of the most iconic singers of this century. Give them a break, you know? I'm really keen for a next album from them, which I'm assuming is going to come at some point. Those are my thoughts on this wonderful album. If you're new to the channel, then consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, then thank you very much for being here. What did you think of this potentially contentious album? Let me know in the comments. I'll be very curious to hear your opinions. If you like Emily or think that she sucks, leave it down below. And just so you know, if you like what you see here, you can support me on Buy Me a Coffee and request songs for me to react to and all kind of stuff. Thank you all very much for watching. For now, I will just say what I have been saying for quite a long time now, which is go away.